True Seeker. It is Monday, June 23rd, 2025. We said this would be a surefire date for escalation with what's going on with Iran, Israel, and the U.S. because it's the day leaving 191 days left in the year, which is a very important number to the people who are instigating this whole thing, and that is the Society of Jesus, a.k.a. the Jesuits that run all three nations. And remember, the CIA was once upon a time founded in a major Jesuit ritual, and that's why once upon a time the CIA overthrew Iran on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, 53, 72 years ago. Another very special number to the Jesuits as well as the Templars. But before we get into what the FBI is now raising the alarm bell on today, saying that cyber attacks are imminent and they will likely target infrastructure and the power grid. Before we get into this, while we wait for people to get in the room, I just want to play a little clip of one of the most prominent gematria deniers in the world right now. And he was recently making fun of my work on another podcast, which is just pathetic because I know at the beginning of the year we circled June 13th for why that date was so significant. And to expect a major event in the world, and of course it ended up being Israel attacking Iran, escalating the ongoing war, which was inevitable, just like we told you the day that Netanyahu came back on December 29th, why it foreshadowed World War III to come. Again, it was on Albert Pike's birthday, who wrote the letter about 3 world wars, which was published on the Jesuit order's birthday, where the Third World War centered on political Zionism. Anyway, this twerp over here, who continues to run his mouth about the work. And we did attempt to debate him this year, but it was hard to debate him because he just played dumb the whole time and tried to just get us stuck in the mud by asking the same questions over and over and acting like he couldn't understand things. This is the kind of person who denies gematria, a guy that can't even open a pickle jar. So here, while we wait for people to get in here, let's watch the gematria denier, the propped up troll on YouTube, Andrew Wilson, and his struggles. It actually looks like it's an olive jar, but the poor guy,
if you can't open it either,
your hand greased the whole top of it.
Olive jar lid.
Literally slippery.
Sorry,
I'm supposed to open the pickle jar?
And by the way, if you ever get in this situation,
Grab me
for whatever
paper
reason,
towel
can't
so I can
open
dry the
jar,
top of it off.
You're
if
the
you just
big strong
tap
man.
it
There you
on
go.
the
Come
table,
on.
the lid, just tap it on the table.
I can't
usually
grip
pops
the
off pretty
fucker.
easy.
Like, I gotta have a way to grip it. I gotta grip
But
it.
this is really
Try
quite
it.
pathetic.
You fucker.
Just like it's pathetic to deny gematria. I mean, there's
Bullshit.
nothing that's look how easily the other person just took off the lid.
I'm supposed to open the pickle
Fat,
jar?
sloppy guy who prides himself on debating 20-year-old
grip it.
OnlyFans girls.
Andrew.
And
If you
again, if
can't
you look
open it
into
either.
Andrew Wilson's
Grease the
wife,
whole
she
top
is
of it.
the definition of a thought. Multiple
Literally
children
slippery.
with multiple men.
Sorry, if you
I'm supposed to open the pickle jar?
Yeah. Total pathetic
Grab
guy
me
here.
a
Total
paper towel so I
charlatan,
can dry the
pretends to
top of
be
it off.
You're the
a
big
Christian,
strong
doesn't
man.
know
There you
one
go.
thing
Come
about
on.
the Bible and is running his
can't
mouth
grip
about
the
yours
fucker.
truly's
Like,
work.
I gotta have
as
a
well.
way to
How
grip
many
it. I
futures
gotta
have we
grip
landed
it.
just since
Try
we had the
it.
debate with Andrew Wilson?
You
March
fucker.
Madness, Masters, Kentucky Derby, NBA Finals.
Bullshit. I'm supposed to open the pickle jar?
Anyway, these are
I'm
the kind
supposed to
of
open the
people
pickle
that
jar?
are acquiring the following on YouTube. This guy getting tons of views, and literally
I gotta
just a complete
grip it.
moron
Uh-oh,
and a
Andrew.
pussy.
If
As
you can't
can
open
see.
it either.
Your hand
Can't even
greased the
open
whole
a jar.
top of it.
Pathetic. He also got embarrassed by Sam Cedar recently. Sam Cedar exposed that he doesn't know what marginal tax rates are. Andrew Wilson, in his own words, said, "If we have 90% marginal tax rates and you make $3 million, that means you only keep $300,000 a year." No, it's not what it means, moron. Marginal tax rates means at the top 90%, but that wouldn't be your whole income. It would be once you reach that threshold, which might be anything over $2 million. And for people who don't know, once upon a time, that is what the marginal tax rates were in this nation. And the nation was doing a lot better at those times, too. There's only so many people that make crazy income like that and end up paying, the final million that they make, they end up paying 90% of that in taxes, but not everything below it. Anyway, as more people fill in here, we'll get to the topic at hand. I've been talking about this since 2013, you guys. Janet Napolitano, the former, she's been in government for a long time. She was a big part of the Clinton administration when Waco happened. She was the leader of the Department of Homeland Security in the early years of that operation, which came out of 9/11. But When Janet Napolitano stepped down from the Department of Homeland Security, she said the next 9/11 is not if, but when. And she said they know what it will be. It will be the national power grid going down. And when she said that in 2013, if you go back and look, you'll see that I believe it's Channel 4 in the UK, and it was the National Geographic Channel. They both put out very similar films that were meant to be very realistic, and they were simulating what would happen. For Channel 4 in the UK, it was what would happen in the UK, and for the National Geographic Channel, is what would happen in the US if the nation's power grids went down. And in both films, it showed that it wouldn't take long at all for total chaos to break out. And yeah, they both foreshadowed very destructive events in the respective nations. But it was interesting how they put out those films like just days behind Janet Napolitano's remarks. And I was saying at the time, I said, doesn't that seem weird that the UK and National Geographic Channel, just both of them putting out these separate films that are highly related to each other right after she says this? I mean, obviously they didn't make those films overnight. And again, that was back in 2013. Her warning for the nation that's all about the 13, right? The 13 stripes, the 13 colonies, the 13 years of public indoctrination school. Again, the nation that was founded right after the Illuminati was founded on May 1st, 1776 with 13 families. Again, the Illuminati founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. But yeah, now the FBI coming out today saying Iran is going to take down the power grid. And there have been all kinds of headlines in the last couple weeks ever since this broke out about, how Iran could attack the power grid. This isn't a new conversation point. North Korea, another member of the axis of evil, as our leadership has dubbed Iran and North Korea. Years ago, they were speculating it was North Korea that could do a cyber attack to take down the grid. And of course, they're saying they could become allies if World War broke out, along with China and Russia. But anyway, dates that this could make a lot of sense to happen if they're going to do this. And understand, it wouldn't be Iran that would take down the grid. It would be your own government. Again, Iran and North Korea are both CIA puppet states. They need these boogeymen on the world stage to justify the crazy military expenditures that make a lot of money for the people ruling at the top. But yeah, a date that is not too far off that can make a lot of sense is July 7th, 7/7. That is the 188th day of the year. And I'm going to take you back in time. You might recall this, the WannaCry virus cyber attack that was the biggest in world history at the time. Notice July 7th is the 188th day of the year and the day leaving 177 days left in the year. Of course, Israel is 77 years old right now. United States equals 77, like Judaism, like Zionist. You might recall on 9/11, Flight 77 into the 77-foot-tall Pentagon, 77 minutes after taking off on the 77th meridian. Again, Janet Napolitano saying the next 9/11's not if, but when. I'm also going to get to a date that's a little before that that's also possible, which would be the 911 days after Netanyahu returned to power. That's June 27th, but this 7/7 date to me is a little bit more intriguing, but we'll look at both dates. And again, it sounds like there could be numerous cyber attacks, so it doesn't mean it all has to happen on one day, but just to go back to WannaCry, they said the guy who solved it was Marcus Hutchins, and he was referred to as the Wanna decryptor. Do you see the encoding there? The 177 and 201. Of course, the Jesuit order equates to 177 and 201. July 7th, the day leaving 177 days left in the year. Scroll down. There's a lot of things interesting about this, but I want to get down to the point about 188. This is back in 2017 for anybody who forgot. They did blame North Korea for WannaCry, and I was making the point then how WannaCry virus equals 188, like cyber attack, also like Bavarian Illuminati. Again, that's what was found in May 1st, 1776. They said this impacted 99 countries. 99. WannaCry is also 99, like 13. The Illuminati was founded on a 99 date numerology, May 1st, 1776. WannaCry has that complete overlap with 13. And notice just in this article right here from Fox News, right? They're talking about a cyber attack while showing you a picture of the 13 stripes. Is that an accident? I don't think so. So yeah, in case you forgot this one, it was the world's biggest cyber attack at the time. And again, I've been here every day since 2013 covering the news, so got a lot of archive posts. Unfortunately, Google did a lot of damage to my old website, Free to Find Truth. They have deleted thousands of posts from this site, but there's still some important things here. So again, July 7th, 188th day of the year, leaving 177 days remaining. Stands out in a big way. And one more time, Israel just turned 77 on May 14th. Does that mean that this is, I believe that means that it would be 50, is July 7th 54 days later? Let me double check that real quick. May 14th, that should be 54 days if I'm doing my math right. May 17th, 2025 to July 7th, 2025. What happened there? Yeah, it is 54 days later. Of course, Jesuit Orders 54. Their headquarters is the Church of the Jesu, Building 54. Today also has a lesser date numerology of 54. June 23rd, 25. 6 plus 23 plus 25 is 54. And in case you're new here, just the gematria of 77, how it would all tie in. Again, Israel 77. Jeez. Running slow. What's the deal here? All right, here we go. United States 77, Judaism 77, Zionist 77. And do you remember how the day that Netanyahu said they were going to fully occupy Gaza and keep killing, and they killed a whole bunch of people that day, and it didn't make any headlines in the U.S.? That was the day of the Jewish couple being shot outside the museum, and that became the top story. And it's like, so 2 people die. That's a big story, but hundreds killed in Gaza on the same day is yeah, these 2 people killed. That becomes the top story. Janine Pirro, just horrible human being who came over from Fox News like the rest of the Trump's administration. She was appointed as the U.S. attorney for D.C. on Israel's 77th birthday. She's a hardline Zionist. She talks about brown people like they don't matter. But she was very outspoken after these 2 Jewish people were reportedly killed, and that became a very important story. And just to take you back to this, I just want you to see how 77 it was when it happened. This was 7 days after Israel turned 77 on the 77th meridian. And the name of the museum where this couple was killed, Lillian and Albert Small, is who the museum is accredited to, whose name is also 77. So I'm just making the point that this 77 is no arbitrary number, and why, with everything going on right now, could be a date to look out for in light of what they're saying. And again, don't live in fear, but again, just in case you are somewhere where the power goes out in summer, it could be very hot where you are. Just think about the things you'd want to maintain some level of comfort. Water, big one. Canned food. And again, you don't have to spend a lot. I mean, black beans. They don't have to be cooked. They're in a can. Even the organic ones are inexpensive. I can get organic black beans at the store still for 99 cents. And if I didn't have anything to eat, I know if I ate a can of organic black beans for the day, that'd be plenty of food for me. A guy who weighs about 165 pounds. If you're a big eater, you got 2 cans of black beans over the course of the day. You might be having some magical sounds come out of your rear end, but at least you won't be hungry. Yeah, canned food. Canned food, not expensive at all, and could be a real lifesaver. So bottled water, canned food, Now, the downside of canned food is if crazy things are happening and you need more than just a preserve and you need to hit the road, canned food can get pretty heavy and be hard to carry. But if you're in that situation, hopefully that doesn't happen. The point is, if you just have the bare necessities on hand, you could be a lot more comfortable. So water, food, non-perishable. You don't want stuff that requires electricity. Thus, canned black beans, this type of thing. Tuna, just anything in a can, right? But beans are a good one, I think, because beans are healthy, they're nutritious, they're filling, they're inexpensive. They're magical in that way and in other ways. First aid kit. First aid kit could be handy. You know, having to move in the dark, easy to bump yourself, easy to get a wound. If you got some bandages, some stuff to clean up, some rubbing alcohol, hydrogen peroxide. First aid kit's not expensive. A good flashlight, batteries. Now they even make good flashlights that have solar things on them, but I'd still have one with batteries just because it's more dependable. Some of this stuff that's promoted with the solar panel on it and rechargeable, it doesn't work that well. A protection device, and if you don't like guns, again, there are other good protection devices like a can of bear spray. So bear spray, you can wipe out a number of people. They're not going to be seeing anything. Get them from 30 feet. Bow. Now you're blind. And sadly, we do live in the kind of nation where, you know, there are a lot of suspect people around. Not as much as the media makes it seem, but you never know. In a bad situation, it could bring out the worst in humanity. So a little protection device could be a good thing. Yeah, there are other things. You know, you're worried about running out of water. You can get those water bottles where they have a very high quality filter in them if you have to like take from contaminated water that you don't really want to drink out of, but you run it through the filtration system. It makes the water drinkable. Those things can get pretty expensive though, but again, bottled water, canned food, first aid, something to light up the darkness, protection device. I mean, those are your main bases you want covered. And yeah, I mean, it's sad that we live in these kind of times, but Janet Napolitano, she did tell you in 2013 as she stepped down from DHS, the next 9/11's not if but when, and it will be the power grid going down. And, you know, she was in those administrations that kept talking about a future war with Iran, Korea, axis of evil. You just see how it's all slowly been coming to this moment that we're now very much in. And at the beginning of this year, Netflix put out the show 0 Day with Robert De Niro, and right at the beginning, he's wearing his Jesuit Fordham sweatshirt. Remember, it's the Jesuit Klaus Schwab who just stepped down as the head of his World Economic Forum, but the World Economic Forum's been doing these cyber polygons, simulating these cyber attacks, and you can look up Klaus Schwab's quote from back in the time of Cooties 19, which he also simulated with Event 201. But Klaus Schwab said there is going to be a cyber attack event that will be a lot more damaging for the world than Cooties 19 was. So again, these people have told you what is going to happen at some point. And again, it's not to live in fear, but an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. You get caught on a hot summer day with the grid down and you don't have anything, you're going to be like, man, why didn't I invest for $100 really, you can get quite a bit of water, canned food, first aid kit, decent flashlight. It's not like you need to go out and get a second mortgage to. Then again, if the grid's out for an eternity, I mean, obviously you need to be one of those preppers with a bunker. But I mean, if that's the situation, we're all screwed. So again, enough to get through a week or two is the way I would plan. If it's longer than that, we all have bigger problems. But yeah, this 0 Day show, if you missed it, I covered this at the beginning of the year when they put it out. He starts the show in his Fordham sweatshirt. He's the former president, and they end up using him to help solve who did this cyber attack on the U.S. And then the current president in the show is a black woman wearing a Stanford sweatshirt. And of course, Kamala went to Stanford. Trump went to Fordham. This show came out right after the election. But not to ruin the show, what you end up finding is the U.S. government, people within it, took down the grid in the United States for their own political reasons, like a false flag. But here's what's wild. From February 20th to July 7th. Here, look at this. February 20th, the day it came out, to July 7th. It's 137 days. I remember government, authority, White House, they all have that 137 connection. But if you count the span, it's also 138 days, right? Like Donald Trump's big number. Donald Trump is 138. Federal's 138. A lot of 138 business with Trump. So both numbers are interesting, the 137, 138. And again, it came out on 220. There's been a lot of 220 stuff with Trump as well. His full name, Donald John Trump, is 220. From his birthday to inauguration day is 220 days. RFK dropped out of the race 220 days from his own birthday and endorsed Trump, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's interesting how this film lines up, especially since they have De Niro wearing the Fordham sweatshirt, which is where Trump went to school. And the show did come out 187 days after De Niro's birthday. Also not an arbitrary number. Washington, D.C. is 187. Society of Jesus is 187. A lot of things are 187. George Washington, Brotherhood of Death, Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. But yeah, Society of Jesus, big number with the Jesuits. Trump's 79 years old right now. The FBI gives this warning today on the day leaving 191 days left in the year. 4 days from today is June 27th, the day leaving 187 days left in the year. So June 27th, also interesting. And do you remember when Public Enemy put out the album What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down? And that was the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. And of course, crazy weather can take out the grid as well. But we used the release of this album. If you weren't here at the time, we said, that's Arizona on the cover, the Valentine's Day state. And we saw how Valentine's Day was 322 days from Klaus Schwab's birthday, another special number to the cabal. And we said, I bet you there's going to be some crazy weather on Valentine's Day this year. And by the way, Valentine's Day is also 142 days from the day that album came out. Like Valentine's Day can be written 14/2. But we said, I bet there's going to be some crazy weather on that day and some grids down. And remember, Houston ended up with the craziest weather and was without power for over a week. Portland, my home city, got crazy weather and was without power for over a week. I remember my sister had to stay with my mom, and they were having the worst time ever. Atlanta had crazy power and was without power or crazy weather and was without power for a few days. So I did notice that from the release of that album to June 27th, just 4 days from now, is 248 weeks. And remember, the country's 248 years old right now, and President Donald Trump equals 248. Just like how Oprah had the rally for Kamala in Oakland, Michigan, the 248 area code 47 days before the election. The same Oprah who asked Trump in 88 if he'd want to be president someday. And then Trump went on to win the 58th election, but she asked him in 88, Trump 88 and 47. Now he's got the 88-foot tall flagpoles at the White House. Anyway, purple's also 88, like Oprah was in the color purple, and Bill and Hillary considered in purple the first time around. And this time Jill Biden walked out of the White House in purple. And don't even get me started on just the whole ritual with Trump and Queen Elizabeth the first time around, 88 days after her birthday. He came out to Queen We Are the Champions for the convention on 18/7. But yeah, 4 days from now is interesting. It's just July 7th has more cyber attack numbers. But yeah, it is annoying to know that this is the kind of world we live in where, they got to do terrible things to us so they can blame somebody else to get us more invested in their war effort that enriches them and causes all kinds of problems for us. More expensive lifestyle, more fear, more anxiety, more just stuff we don't need. But this is what it is to be a populist that continues to ignore the voices of reason, the people who are paying attention, the people who know what's going on. And, the people who haven't figured out are the people who are being ignored, and the people who don't have a clue are the ones that the masses are turning into, the blind leading the blind. The herd sticking with the herd. So, but yeah, it's all been foretold long in advance. And what they're saying that Iran's going to do, just remember, Iran's been a CIA puppet state for a long time. Okay, the news about Iran attacking Qatar today. Whatever Fox News program started at 11 a.m. today on the West Coast, which would have been 2 p.m. on the East Coast, it's the older guy with the white hair. He's probably the best person on Fox News. To me, he's the most tolerable person. He seems like the most decent person they have on their whole lineup. But I had him on in the background, and he began the show by saying, you know, it's interesting. He said, I don't know if I've ever seen Iran or the U.S. attacked by a foreign power and the market bounce up because of it today. But he says, you see, the market's up 300 points in the wake of this attack news. And now remember, wars do boost the market historically, but maybe not in the exact moment that the headline breaks out. It's always good for the military-industrial complex. But if you want to look up this clip today, first he's saying that, and then he goes, you know, all this really just seems a little bit symbolic, a little bit theatrical. And then he went on, and he goes, and if you didn't know, Iran reached out to Qatar today before the attack to let them know that they would be attacking because they wanted to minimize any potential casualties. I mean, it's just like, you're listening to this, you're like, does this sound like something you do in a war? We're going to bomb you, but we want to make sure no one is hurt first. So please make sure everybody's out of there and everybody's nice and safe. Because, I mean, you guys, doesn't this just sound like a steaming load? It is a steaming load. And what everyone should be saying is, again, why does the U.S. have so many bases everywhere? Of course, we built like 1,000 more since 9/11 happened in the Middle East. But yeah, it's like you could pretty much attack any country in the world and be attacking the U.S. because there's a base there. So yeah, I wish, you know, that's something that I missed. When I lived in Seattle, we had Comcast as our cable company, and Comcast just had the easy way to rewind your TV. And I used to do a lot of that in the old days with my channel when I lived in the Seattle area. I'd always be showing the news. I wish I could have just rewound that news clip and just did a video right there and said, listen to this, listen to everything he just said. This all just seems a bit symbolic and theatrical. Yeah, absolutely. The theater of war. Again, we circled today. Over the weekend, I said, watch out for June 23rd, the day leaving 191 days left in the year for escalation, because it's a big Jesuit number. Look out for June 25th, George Orwell's birthday, because, of course, he wrote the book 1984, you know, about the nation that's always at war, and people know that their nation's always at war, but they don't really know why or what's going on. And keep in mind, you're not seeing any footage or any proof of anything, are you? You're just being told these stories in the news. But today leaves 191 days left in the year. The 43rd prime, the name of the base that got hit, has Gematria 43. Go figure. Run it the other way. The name of that base equals 56. Here, just so you can see the name of the base. Name of the base, 43, 56. On the day leaving 191 days left in the year. Society of Jesus. Remember, 56 was huge with the killing of Soleimani. Let me pull this up, actually, the whole Soleimani thing. And did he even really die? The proof was supposedly his red ring that didn't look exactly like... Hold on. Hold on. I forget how many posts I ended up doing on the Soleimani thing. But there was a whole lot of 56s with Soleimani's death and the aftermath. Oh, yeah, they even said 56 people were killed at his funeral in a stampede, and his name's 56. Because they're bringing this back, too. They're like, you know, Iran still feels like they owe a greater retaliation against Trump for the killing of Soleimani. And this whole narrative's just been building the whole time. The Iranian president had the same birthday as the Superior General, November 12th. The stampede was 56 days after his birthday, that 56 were killed. Now Iran's attacking the U.S. base with a 56 name on a very Jesuit day. It's the way these same numbers come together all the time. Soleimani was killed 74 days after Netanyahu's birthday. Just like how when this war began, Gaza was 74 years old, the big killing number. Trump got that big piece of land over in Israel for his 74th birthday. Soleimani, January 3rd, 1-3 like 13, a date with 44 numerology, the big military number. This time around, we get the 44-year-old Hegseth from Fox News appointed on the Superior General's birthday. Here, real quick, let me just measure from January 3rd, 2020 to see how all this stuff lines up too. January 3rd, 2020 to, here, we'll go back to June 13th. From that day to June 13th, the day the Israel attack, was 1,988 days later. That was Reagan's last year in office. Back in the time of the Iranian hostage crisis. It was ended after 444 days by Reagan on his first day in office. So the U.S. attack on June 21st U.S. time or June 22nd Iran time. I have to go back and look at that history. There could be something there. That was in the time of the Clinton administration. So we need to go 29 days further. Oh my God, is that July 20th? The 201st day of the year? Oh! And remember, that's the kill date. Wow, from the Soleimani killing to the kill date for July, which is the 201st day of the year, is 2,025 days later, like the year we're in. We've been saying, get ready for some major headlines on that day. The kill date landing on the 201st day of the year. It's just like when Israel attacked Iran, that was the kill date for June, and that was the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Again, all these perfectly planned rituals. But okay, just coming back to the attack on Qatar today, the U.S. base in Qatar, where Iran let people know in advance they'd be attacking so no one would get hurt. Qatar equals 78 and 21 in the same ciphers as Jesuit. And Qatar, you see the 57-21, just like moon. 21 and 33 like lunar. Again, it's a Monday moon day. We know what nation operates by the moon code. Again, 54 date numerology like Jesuit order. And you know what? Actually, hold on. What did I just say about 1996? Because this base opened in 1996. The base opened in 1996. Okay, so when we attacked, it was 1,996 days after Soleimani, and now Iran's first retaliation is against this base. It could be coincidental or maybe not. And keep in mind, you guys, while all this is going down, the Dow Jones is in the 42,000 range. Again, just scripted world affairs. Iran 42, Hamas 42, War 42, World War 42. Again, the plane sent to Guam before they bombed. Guam 42 on a Saturn's day when Saturn's 42. Saturn's also 21 like Guam. Remember those planes that were used, the B-2s, arrived at White Man Air Force Base where they flew out of in Missouri in 93. And look at Missouri as well. Missouri's got the 42 and 93. All right. Yeah, that's a takeaway to remember that July 20th is 2,025 days after the Soleimani killing, which had the Jesuit numbers all over it from the beginning. I put out a video on this the morning before the bombing, just the significance of them deploying 6 B-2s to Guam on a Saturn's day, the 6th planet. Saturn connected to death and judgment in time. And again, deployed from White Man Air Force Base. B is the second letter, so a 2-2 stealth bomber 2 days after Trump said he needed 2 weeks. But again, you can see the overlap with Iran, Guam, and war. And keep in mind, Iran is 24, like it's 24 years since 2001 when we really, upped the ante on the war in the Middle East and building all the bases there all around Iran, building bases on both sides of Iran in, Afghanistan and in Iraq. But yeah, 21's the 6th triangular number, 6 B-2 bombers. White Man, the name of the Air Force Base. And again, like I always say, we're always killing brown people, right? So sending the White Man planes to bomb the brown nation. More mockery. Yeah, it couldn't be more perfect. The Saturn's Day ritual. But somebody, shout out to 252. Oh, by the way, again, June 21st. It was still June 21st in the U.S. The day leaving 193 days left in the year. 44th prime number. Secretary of Defense equals 193. Remember, Hegseth, chosen on the Superior General's birthday at age 44. The man with the Templar Crusader tattoos all over his body as we start some new crusades. And just wait till Bush turns 79 here on July 6th. The other big Templar number. Anyway, that was the 172nd day of the year, too. And the Jesuit mottos we talked about, ad Merum Dei Gloriam equals 172. The thing I didn't have in that morning video, 252 called into Patreon this morning. He said, did you know the wingspan of those B-2 bombers? Look at this, you guys. The B-2 bomber's wingspan is 172 feet. And we're bombing with them on the 172nd day of the year? Again, what do they etch on that Masonic temple in D.C.? Don't they etch all is number? All is number. And the other thing I'll remind you is there any proof that any of this has even happened? Is there really even anything going on? I don't know if there is. The media is showing you satellite images of the before and after, but is that convinced? Is that proof of anything? Because I remember all the satellite images that were shown to the American people before we started these wars in the Middle East that were supposed to last days. We'd be in and out. And then they went on for 20 years until it ended on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th. Yeah, but a lot of satellite imagery back then. Like, oh, look at the proof of this here and the proof of that here and these weapons of mass destruction over there. And all that just turned out to be bullshit. So now they show you satellite images of supposedly the before and after. And it's like, okay. Doesn't mean anything to me. Why not show some footage? Where's some camera footage of the bombs hitting the bases and then being just blown into nothing like the satellite images show? Why not put that out there? What's the point of not showing that? What's the point of just claiming that that's what you did on TV but not showing any proof that it happened? Remember, the leader of Iran, he's got that strategic April 19th birthday. That's the day in history that the first Jesuit superior general was created, Ignatius Loyola, April 19th. Fateful day in history, the day the American Revolutionary War began. He just happens to be 86 years old right now, as Trump says he needs to get 86 Khomeini. We're talking about dropping the bomb. Didn't we drop the bomb on Japan on 8/6? Doesn't Jesuits equal 86? Anyway, 172-foot wingspan on the B-2 that bombs on the 172nd day of the year, U.S. time. And B-2 stealth bombers, same thing as Jesuit order. Who's got the Jesuit motto in Merum Dei Gloriam? And then, again, just Hegseth with the Templar tattoos all over his body. Tells us the operation was Midnight Hammer, which equals 79, right after Trump turned 79, the number that's encoded into Knights Templar and Society of Jesus and Christianity. And this coincided with the NBA season, the 79th season, which ended on the same day, won by the coach who used to be the Jesuit Holy Cross Crusaders coach, his first high-level basketball coaching job. The Thunder coach was the Holy Cross Crusader. And his birthday is the 54th day of the year, Mark Daigneault, 223, like Oklahoma City Thunder's 223. But yeah, June 22nd, what time it was in Iran was the 173rd day of the year. Knights Templar 173. And again, Pete Hegseth picked on the Superior General's birthday. From the day he was picked to the attack 222 days later, like Superior General equals 222, like order out of chaos. The tattoos on his body foretold the ritual to come. And June 21st, for the record, was a date with 72 numerology, like Jesuit order equals 72. Again, the Jesuits have the Templar cross in their logo, and the Templars had the rule of 72. These are the Crusaders. It's 72 years since the CIA overthrew Iran on the Jesuit order's birthday. The overthrow ended on Clinton's birthday, August 19th. Clinton would have turned 7 years old the day the overthrow ended. There's probably something to that. Remember, Bill Clinton was born Bill Blythe, but then his mom remarried into the Clinton political dynasty out of New York, or eventually the 93 World Trade Center bombing would happen the day shortly after he took office, and then Hillary would become a senator there. But yeah, the 172-foot wingspan just blows me away. And by the way, just in regards to those damn Jesuits, Jesuit order, 153 as well. The attack, June 21st would have been the 153rd day of the Trump administration being in office. June 22nd would have been 153 days after taking office, or the 154th day of being in office. And remember, the number 201 is the 154th composite number. It's interesting how the 154 and 201 come together. Saturnalia, for example, has the 154 connection, and Saturn worship is 201. And remember, Pope Francis was born on Saturnalia, the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201, and the Jesuit order's 201, and his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 201, just like the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola's 201, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, the 154-201 is a powerful pairing too, and in this case, State of Israel 201, who we're bombing on behalf of. And that's the thing that's crazy to listen to too, with just how Orwellian the rhetoric is, right? If you turn on the media and listen to the government people, they make it seem like it's Iran's fault that this is happening. They're the aggressor. And it's like, well, who did Iran attack? And then they'll go, oh, well, Iran backs Hamas and Hezbollah, so that's... And it's like, come on, man. Remember, when supposedly Hamas attacked those Iranians on October 7th, that was 282 days after Netanyahu came back into power. And his name does have the 177 and 69, just like the Jesuit order. Also has the 93, big number with Israel's history, the nation drawn up on September 3rd, 47 by the United Nations, whose Congress is Knesset, who has the Iron Dome. Shimon Peres, their last leader, died at 93, et cetera, et cetera. And remember, that's the Saturn number, and Saturn is the god of the Old Testament. Saturday, named after Saturn, the U.S. attacking on Saturday. And by the way, just more connections to, if you write out 93 as a word, it also equals 154, like Saturnalia. What is it? Star of Remphan? Fam? Yeah, it's Remphan, which is a symbol for Saturn, is also 154. So, yeah, we've covered all this. I don't want to be too redundant here. But yeah, don't forget, this is also important, though, that the day that we attacked Iran was the day that Texas, the Lone Star State, remember Netanyahu came back on 12/29, which is Texas's birthday. Israel's flag's a star. Texas's flag is a star. On that same day, Greg Abbott signed the bill. And notice they do this while everyone's on summer break, right? So they have all summer to argue it and get thrown out in the courts, which I imagine it will, because this is unconstitutional. And isn't that stupid, too? It's like, why is a governor doing something that's deliberately unconstitutional? I mean, like, how dumb are you? Like, and if this does get held up, then you know that America is definitely not America anymore, because this is a total violation of separation of church and state. But again, just an empty, well, it's just symbolism, right? The 10 Commandments from the Lone Star State as we bomb on behalf of Israel, again, the Lone Star flag, when again, Netanyahu came back on Texas's birthday. And like I was saying the other day, in that series Sicario, the movie series, that there's a part 1 and part 2, Benicio del Toro's the big star in it. If you haven't seen Sicario, what it's about is how the CIA recruits an FBI agent to become part of their team, but keeps them blind, because the only way the CIA can operate within the United States is if they have an FBI in their team. And that it's probably the real law of the land, too. I mean, I'm learning this from the movie, but what they want to do, the CIA, is kill these drug lords that are going between the U.S. and Texas. And Benicio del Toro, who he is he's a former cartel assassin, but he's so good at killing and he knows everything about the ins and outs of the cartel that the CIA uses him because he knows where to go and the routes and all this. So anyway, if you haven't seen this movie, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because in part 2, it begins with Islamic extremists crossing the open border and then blowing themselves up as self-deletion bombers in public places in the United States. That's the way the movie starts. And I don't quote me, but hold on. Let's see if we can look this up. Let's see. So, I want to say that the opening scene where they blow themselves up in the grocery store, I want to say that it's Missouri, like how these planes just flew out of Missouri to bomb Iran. Yeah, it is. It's Missouri. They do it in a Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City, Missouri. So that is pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting in light of just the narrative you're seeing unfolding and the way Hollywood gives the predictive programming. And what is it about the word Sicario, too? Oh, I didn't spell it right. Sicario. Yeah, it's a lot like killing and Sicario. A lot alike. And I feel like there's something else about that word. I forget what it is. It's not that. I feel like there's something else, though, that I'm forgetting about that word Sicario. Let me see if I have an older post on this. But yeah, that is pretty interesting how they do bomb in Missouri in light of what's going on right now. Oh, yeah, for the Ides of March, to remember the assassination of Caesar on the 74th day of the year. They added Sicario, Netflix. They added one of the Marvel movies where the guy's like a part lion blood killer. And in the film, oh yeah, I got it right here. Kraven the Hunter. They got to show you the double-decker bus in London with 74 on it. Oh yeah, and they did put up this movie Adolescence about killing in London. Teenager who's teased with being an incel who goes on to kill a female classmate. But yeah, they added all this stuff for the weekend of the Ides of March. All right. Yeah, again, just about Trump. It was the 170th day of the year, June 19th, when Trump said he needed 2 weeks to decide. 2 weeks was July 3rd. And again, June 19th, 170th day of the year, World War III. The war in Israel began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's. October 1st last year, 181 missiles reportedly fired from Iran at Israel. July 3rd, 7-3, like World War III, plus July 3rd is the day leaving 181 days left in the year. And July 3rd, 3? So, yeah, probably also an interesting date to keep an eye on. And hold on, does I forget what cyber polygon equals. Cyber polygon equals 157, the 37 prime. This is the name of the Jesuit simulation they've been putting on simulating cyber attacks. But 157, 37th prime. That's the anniversary of Theodor Herzl's death as well, the founder of Zionism, who died at 44 years before Israel was established. When Israel, Zion, military, they'll equal 44. So Trump said he needed until July 3rd. And this year will be the 121st anniversary of his death. It's a reminder that David Ben-Gurion, look at how Theodor Herzl equals 73. So got the 170. Interesting. 154 as well. Theodor Herzl and David Ben-Gurion, who was the first prime minister of Israel, who died 201 days from the anniversary of its establishment. It's also 14-5, like Israel was created on the 14th day of the 5th month. But David Ben-Gurion died in 73 on December 1st, 121. So yeah, July 3rd will be the 121st anniversary of Herzl's death. And of course, Revelations 121. And remember, the prophecy in Revelation also ties in with the prophecy of the destruction in the end times that brings about the third temple. And again, there's that coin on sale in Israel with Trump and King Cyrus's face on one side and the third temple on the other. So That's also pretty interesting. And we did see how the 666th day of this war is going to fall on August 2nd, which is Tisha B'Av this year, to remember the destruction of the two temples. Hold up. Let me just pull this up again. I just did a post on this the other day. All right. Tisha B'Av 2025 will fall on the 666th day of the war. Another date that's not too far off. You know what else? August 2nd is going to be, or I think I have it in the post. Hold on. Yeah, that day will be 49 days after Trump's birthday. Temple Coin has the 49 connection and 50. The second day of Tisha B'Av will be 50 days after Trump's birthday. Revelation's also 49. Again, the book of Revelation mentions a temple in Jerusalem that will be measured by John, and some interpretations, remember, Trump's middle name is Donald John Trump, and some interpretations link this temple to the third temple that is a subject of prophecy in Judaism and Christianity, again, where these things link up. But King Cyrus, again, from his death anniversary, December 4th to August 2nd, is 241 days, which is the 53rd prime, which goes with Tisha B'Av, Temple Mount, King Cyrus, religion. Looks like it also goes with Theodore Herzl, the founder of Zionism. And Tisha B'Av equals 82 and 28. August 2nd, the first day can be written 82 or 28. Israel's birthday is the 134th day of the year. 53 piece again. So yeah, you can just see how everything is being perfectly coordinated to line up with these key dates. And it's just like the NBA finals being perfectly synced. I don't know what it takes for people to ignore the significance of this, how planned out and ritualistic it all is, and why they do it this way. They do it this way because of Kabbalah. God operates through numbers, letters, words, dates. These people are playing God. Again, English, relatively newer language in the world. Gregorian calendar, relatively newer way of telling time. These systems implemented in the 16th century by the Jesuits after a whole lot of history had already passed. Clearly they built a system and they've been moving this way like it's a game board, getting us to this moment. And keep in mind, around that same time in history is when the Bibles started getting numbered. These numbered Bibles that sync up with all this. You know, Revelation 13:18 about calculating the number, which is a nod to Greek isopsephy. Greek isopsephy is the same thing as Hebrew gematria. Again, the practice of coding numbers into words. But yeah, there's a lot of big, key, crucial dates upcoming. And again, just like Janet Napolitano once said, it's not a matter of if, but when. And actually, as I say that out loud, let's see how old she is right now. Let's see how this might line up with her, the one who gave the ultimate warning as she stepped down. 67 years old. She'll turn 68. Oh, there's an interesting number. She'll turn 68 later this year, November 29th. Let me just see how some of these dates line up with her. November 29th, last birthday. Huh, you know what's interesting? June 22nd. Look at this. Let me come back to the Knights Templar thing real quick. Knights Templar. Every one of these values. Again, 173rd day of the year, June 22nd. In the basketball game, the Crusader guy won. The Crusaders are the Templars. Mark Daigneault keeping the Pacers on 65 wins for the year. Again, Pacers got their last win on Juneteenth, which started in 1865. They went on their finals run after Jim Irsay died at 65. The finals began on 6-5. Oklahoma City equals 65. Just happened to be the 205th day of her age. And now they're saying us attacking has brought Iran to want to retaliate potentially by cyber attacking us, which she said could happen from a country like North Korea or Iran when she stepped down from DHS. And then again, this all just went down in the 79th NBA season, right after Trump turned 79. Again, Bush Jr. will turn 79 on July 6th. He was a member of Skull and Bones, who get their symbolism from how the Templars bury their dead. Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense with Templar Crusader tattoos on his body. Fox News guy. Okay. Just all the numbers is constantly. Israeli forces kill 72 Palestinians, and this is as Israel threatens to eliminate Khamenei. When again, Israel was overthrown by the CIA and British Petroleum 72 years ago. Jesuit order 72 rule for the Templars, the rule of 72. Right below, the U.S. sponsored Iran's 1953 regime change. Is Trump planning a repeat? I mean, it's a joke. And Trump just called on regime change, right? President Trump, 72. It was no different with President Biden, 72. And by the way, you see how both of them are also 81 in reverse, Trump and Biden. Remember, Biden supposedly got 81 million record votes. And then when he passed the torch to Kamala, she raised a record 81 million in 24 hours. Both of them Jesuit educated. And Robert De Niro, that 0 Day, where he's the former president and trying to solve who took down the grid. Again, all this synced up with De Niro while he's 81 years old. And then his cohort, Pacino, visiting the Pope by the numbers, as we just covered. 52 days from his birthday, Pope 52, while he's 85, and the time of this very 85 Pope, who was made the Pope on the 8th day of May, and Augustine, a hippo, equals 85, and he's the first Augustinian Pope, whereas Pope Francis was the first Jesuit. But yeah, just, again, on the kill date, Israel attacked Iran. And remember, on the last kill date, which fell on May 14th, Israel's birthday, they did a lot of killing in Gaza on that same day. But you can see the overlap with Tel Aviv, Israel, Zion kill. The kill date is the date that has 64, 44, 28 numerology. Comes up once a month. It fell on May 14th, June 13th. Oh, I misspoke. I said July 20th is going to be the kill date. I misspoke. It's going to be the 201st day of the year. It's not going to be the kill date. That's my bad. July 12th next month is the kill date, which is also an interesting date, though, because it can be written 12-7, like 127, Pearl Harbor date. The other 12-7 date, December 7th. Buildings 1, 2, and 7 on 9/11. So yeah, kill date next month is July 12th, but the 201st day of the year, which will be 2,025 days after Soleimani's killing, is the 201st day of the year. July 20th will have 72 date numerology. It'll be a 72 date. Yeah, June 13th, again, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. 93 days before the Pope's birthday. Israel, the big 93 nation. The 201st detachment was established on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Technology military merger. I wrote about this in my last book that came out in 2020, how 201's all over everything from our military to big tech to this entire nation's very Jesuit history. Just a reminder about this too, just entertainment and what goes on in the world. Outkast's popular hip hop group had the big song Bombs Over Baghdad. And just to remind you about this, song released on August 29th, 2000. From the release of that song to September 11th was exactly 54 weeks, like Baghdad, Iraq's 54, like Jesuit Orders 54. Again, the Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesu Building 54. At their pinnacle, the Jesuits had 54 universities in the U.S. The first was Georgetown, established by a 54-year-old John Carroll, when John Carroll equals 54. Again, here we are on 54 date numerology today, as the FBI comes out and says that cyber attack is imminent. There could be numerous cyber attacks targeting infrastructure and power grids. Arista Records is responsible for that album. Notice the 201. Notice the 93. Notice the 150. Notice the 60. Again, to go over all these numbers. Illuminati has the connection to 93, 201, and 150, founded by the Jesuit. All of those numbers relate to the sun that illuminates the world. They also relate to Saturn, which is known as the dark sun. The 60 matters because the first decade the Jesuits were at the church, their order was limited to 60 members. Donald Trump equals 60, just won the 60th election after sacrificing his ex-wife 60 weeks into the first Jesuit nation year and then burying her on the 201st day of the year. But remember, Trump gave Iran 60 days to respond, and after they didn't, on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, Israel attacked. LaFace Records is also on that song, along with Arista Records for Bombs Over Baghdad. Notice the overlap with Society of Jesus. You know, all numbers we've already talked about. We invaded Iraq on the 79th day of the year on 320, like Roman Catholic Church is 320. From Andre 3000's birthday to September 11th was 107 days. If you forgot how important 107 was, let me take you back to 9/11 and the time of Rudy Giuliani, the 107th mayor of New York, where from his May 28th birthday to 9/11 was the 107th day of his age. And then we invaded Afghanistan on 10/7, like military's 107. And now what happened on October 7th, 2023, the latest war begins in Israel that's now escalated to this. And I told you right then that this was going places. It was also 9/11, the 222nd day of Big Boy's age, the other half of Outcasts. New York, 222, Order Out of Chaos, Superior General. And of course, Clive Davis is behind that record label as well. Go figure. We all know about Diddy's arrest. 201 days from Clive Davis. And speaking of Diddy, did you see the Diddy headline today? Today, the feds are giving their final testimony against Diddy. Look at this, you guys. It's 42 days after the trial began. As we've been talking about, Puff Daddy and Freak Offs have the triple overlap, including the big 42. And then from Diddy's birthday to today is exactly 33 weeks. The feds are giving their final testimony. And remember, it's all been ritual. The feds like raiding Diddy's house on the anniversary of the Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death album, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, exactly 33 weeks after his birthday, the feds given the final testimony. We have somebody trying to call in right now. I wasn't planning on taking calls just yet, but what's up, 949?
Hey, Zachary. Greg Luz here, loan officer with Optimum First Mortgage. How you doing?
Oh, I don't know who he is or why he's calling. All right. I wasn't expecting phone calls. Yeah. Today also has 54 date numerology going with Diddy being arrested at age 54. And like we said, a year before it happened, why he'd be going down at 54 like R. Kelly. And now R. Kelly, pleading for Trump to help him at age 79 when R. Kelly equals 79 and he lived in Trump Tower in Chicago. And Trump doing all that Chicago stuff, 312 electoral college votes, the Chicago area code. Yeah, R. Kelly supposedly nearly poisoned to death on the day leaving 201 days left in the air. Again, just Jesuits got their hands in all the psychological operations. So, and again, the Jesuits created the Illuminati. So, all right, I got to go pick up Sweet Girl. Looks like we had 2 super chatters. Or actually 3, make it 3. Gabriella with the big 5. Thank you again, Gabriella. Spatium Viator said Khomeini's been supreme leader for 36 years. Yeah, since 89. The year of the first flight of the B-2 bomber. Yeah, good point. Yep. Yeah, very good point. Chaos has the 89 connection too. 89 is the 24th prime. Iran 24. Again, it's 24 years since 2001. Space Invader says the sun joined Jupiter in Gemini on Saturday, June 21st. This year, the solstice fell on June 20th. So things really heated up after the solstice. All right. I do got to go get Sweet Girl. I do want to, hold on. D26 is calling in. We got to take a D26 call. D26 is a good way to close us out. What's up, D26?
Yeah, I know you have to go. Hello, I'm good. I hope you're all doing good as well. I just made a quick call because I made a quick observation last week. And I'll be very quick about this. That David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister, stepped down from the leader of the Israel first time. He took a break for a few years, and then he came back into power again. He won the election, and the second time he stepped down, that was on 26th of June. And it's interesting because the date can be written as 26/6, but it is also 201 days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th. And this year, if anything happens, any attack on US happens directly, because now it's happening 23rd of June, it's night over there. But I saw the local time was 23rd of June, I guess. So if some major attack happens on the US base outside the Middle East, it could probably be on this week on 26th of June, just because it is like something, it is related to, connected with the attack on Pearl Harbor, the anniversary of that date, as well as how the attack that Israel did on Iran on the anniversary of Netanyahu, like Benjamin Netanyahu stepping down as PM. So 26th of June is the date when David Ben-Gurion stepped down from PM. So that was, I don't know how much that will be. I'm not making any predictions. I'm just stating that this connection was kind of interesting, because I didn't know that Netanyahu had stepped down on the same date that he also launched a surprise attack on Iran. So
Yeah, I was out on the streets of Seattle when he stepped down. I broke that news down in real time on the corner of Pike Place Market. So, yeah.
Is that the stream where a guy interrupted your stream?
Yeah, he had the big speaker out there and was drowning me out with Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl, another 201. Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of the first live streams that I watched here.
Yeah, since you just brought up June 26th, just a reminder, that is the first day of the Islamic New Year. That'll be Netanyahu's 911th day back in power. June 27th, the next day, is 911 days after he retook power. And that's also the day leaving 187 days left in the year. And Pete Hegseth has the tattoo for the 187th. I forget what military regiment it is, but it's the 187th, like June 27 leaves 187 days left in the year. So yeah, very interesting slate of dates this week. And I suspect they'll have it'll be like a staircase. It'll be an escalation on each of these days. Highly symbolic.
Yeah, they're trying to, they're splitting up the predictive programming, I would say. They're just putting it on the face by saying that there might be sleeper cells, there might be cyber attacks. They're saying that's what they're going to do, just like what they did in 2001. So
correct.
I hope everything goes. I hope there's not a major loss of life anywhere, whether it's Middle East or whether it's US. But just take care. That's it.
All right, friend. Always good hearing your voice. I hope you're doing all right today. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
All right, friend. Stay strong. Appreciate you. All right, I do got to go get Sweet Girl. But yeah, interesting week of days. Shout out to Brian Rick, who sent over a $5 Cash App as well. And Nathan was added to the 113 list. Nathan said, what about the word normalize equaling 113? That's interesting. I don't know if that word is necessarily deception, normalize, but they do try to normalize the BS. People are just used to being fed BS. Again, they told us that Iran let everybody know that they were going to attack so there'd be minimal casualties. I mean, it just sounds so dumb. It's like, okay, it doesn't sound like a war. Sounds like just a load of BS. Like Fox News said when I was watching everything, they said, oh, this sounds just like theatrics. Yeah, it is. It is theatrics. It's costing us a lot of money, but again, they can make up crap and it can be very consequential, just like they did with Cooties 19. Trump calls Iran's retaliation very weak. Oh, I guess he wants a bigger response. Trump wants to see some dead Americans. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same. I'm just seeing everybody's coverage real quick. Tars has intercepted Iranian attack on base. Well, it probably made it easier since they foreshadowed that that's exactly what they were going to do. What a script. What's up, 407?
Hey, Zach, I didn't mean to call you personal, but I just wanted to add this quick detail since you mentioned July 7th. So we remember last year there was a CrowdStrike attack on July 19th. So I measured between those two dates, it's 353 days.
71st prime, yeah. And that was the 201st day last year for the leap year. They said that was the biggest, computer outage in world history on the 201st day of the year last year.
Mm-hmm. So we know that CyberAttack has that 71, CrowdStrike has the 71 as well. And then CyberAttack also has 188, the 145th composite, and CrowdStrike equals 145. So just another reason to look to that date for something to happen. But yeah, that's all I want to add.
Appreciate that. Great research again. Thank you, 407.
Yeah, take care.
All right, take care, man. See you. All right, yeah, I gotta go get sweet girl. All right, thank you to everyone who hit the like and the share. And if the stream ends and you have the time, please just leave a short comment. I wouldn't write too much because YouTube deletes if you leave a great comment. If it's too good, they just, we're gonna delete that so nobody sees that. But just like a one-word thing, thanks, whatever. It does seem to help the algorithm. We're still super shadow banned and none of our views are great, but it does seem to help. So appreciate it. Thanks again to everyone who also sent over a super chat. Very generous. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day. Don't live in fear, but an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. Till next time.